Hello student, how are you? Myself Pawan Mishra. Today I am in front of you to explain menstrual cycle. Okay? First of all, the most important topic for the board examination, what is menstrual cycle? That's the first question. You know, reproductive cycle in primates. You know which one is known as primate? Like monkey, ape, human being, right? Primate. So menstrual cycle represent reproductive cycle. The first one you can say reproductive cycle in primates, right? The second, if you observe, menstrual cycle is started at puberty. At puberty, it means at age of 10 to 12 year, right? In female. Menstrual cycle controlled by there's the two hormone. The first one gonadotropin hormone. You know that the two gonadotropin hormone, FSH and LH, means luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone. And second one, ovarian hormone. It means hormone that is secreted by ovary. So in ovarian hormone there are two hormone, estrogen and second one progesterone. So this is controlled by gonadotropin hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone. This is also controlled by ovarian hormone, estrogen and progesterone. The next thing you can say about the menstrual cycle. So menstrual cycle is the cyclic event between two successive menstruation, right? So this is, you can also define cyclic event between two successive menstruation it means one menstruation is started up to the starting of from one menstruation up to the next menstruation, successive menstruation. So all the cyclic event that takes place during this is known as menstrual cycle. And menstrual cycle occurs at regular interval of 28 to 29 days every month. Menstrual cycle occurs at regular interval of on average 28 to 29 days every month. Okay. First menstruation at the puberty. First menstruation. First menstruation at puberty, known as menarche. This one, menarche. The first menstruation at puberty is known as menarche. So this is the general description about the menstrual cycle. Menstrual cycle completed according to your NCERT. Mainly there are three phases. In some book it is maybe four phases now. Okay, but it is completed in three phases. The first, this completed in three phases. The first phase of the menstrual cycle is menstruation phase. Menstruation phase, right? What happened in the menstruation phase? First, we have to know here. So, in menstruation phase, you also see the diagram here. First, you see the diagram of the menstrual cycle. Right? This is the first day, and suppose that this is 28th day. Right? Between the first to 28, if you add the mid anywhere, you can, right? So there is the 14, you mention 14, then you divide again, you can say between them there is mid of this, there is the 7, okay, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, no, you make equal division here, you make equal division here. First, suppose that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Suppose that you divide, right? So this is the time duration. Here you make the first column here. First column. In this first column, you mention uterine event, right? Then next column you mention here this column represent ovarian hormone level. Then next column you mention ovarian event. And last one, last column, pituitary hormone level. So you divide in this, right? So first, you know very well, there is menstruation is divided into three main phases. The first phase here, that is menstruation phase, menstruation phase. What happened in the menstruation phase? In menstruation phase, endometrium thick endometrium lining breaks, right? In the uterus, endometrium lining breaks, right? And unfertilized, unwanted blood, mucus comes out through the vagina, comes out from the body through the vagina of the female. This is known as menstruation. So in menstruation, if you observe here, right? In this way. So this is the uterine wall. This represents uterine wall. This represents uterine wall. This one. Okay. So this represents uterine wall. Right? If you observe here, in menstruation phase from 1 to 3 to 5 days, it lasts for 3 to 5 days. Right? It lasts for 3 to 5 days. There is menses. Right now, in menstruation phase, endometrium lining, this one, this endometrium lining breaks. Endometrium lining breaks, through which blood, unfertilized egg, mucus, all these things, when there is a breakdown of the endometrium lining, so blood, unfertilized egg, mucus comes out through the vagina of the female, and this is known as menstrual flow. This is also known as menstrual flow. Okay. During this condition, this lasts for 3 to 5 days. In some female, it lasts in 3 days. or in some in it is 5. So it is lost for 3 to 5 days. Okay, and this menstruation occurs when there is no fertilization of egg. Okay, when there is no fertilization of egg, then there is a menstruation occur here. Okay, but sometime menstruation get stopped. So there is a two condition. If egg get fertilized in the female, then menstruation is stopped. The second condition, due to poor health or stress condition, sometime menstruation get stopped. menstruation तब बंद हो जाता है जब egg fertilize हो जाए, राइट, तब menstruation नहीं होगा. या poor health या due to the stress condition in the female after puberty, menstruation gets stopped. बंद हो may get stop, you can say, बंद हो सकता है. दो कंडीशन, या तो एग फर्टिलाइज हो या पुअर हेल्थ हो या कोई स्ट्रेस कंडीशन हो. अदरवाइज अगर एग फर्टिलाइज नहीं होता है, ड्यूरिंग दिस सिचुएशन unfertilized endometrium which prepare every month to receive fertilized egg breaks, so it release cushion like structure which develop on it, which is richly supplied with blood capillaries which is covered by the mucus. So blood, mucus and unfertilized egg comes out from the human female body through the vagina, and this process is known as menstruation. Okay, this during this event, if you observe, in ovarian hormone, there are two ovarian hormone. One is estrogen and other is progesterone. So estrogen hormone also at low level, estrogen it is at low level. Okay, and there is estrogen, and second hormone is the progesterone which is also at low level. The second hormone, this one, progesterone. Estrogen and progesterone at the menstrual phase is at low level, right? And pituitary hormone, there are two pituitary hormone. One is FSH, FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, and second one here luteinizing hormone. LH, luteinizing hormone, black luteinizing hormone. So first, if you observe in the menstruation phase, FSH and LH at their low level, right? And estrogen, progesterone also at their low level. Then second phase of the menstruation is second phase. It lasts for next 9 to 12 days. This one. This is known as follicular phase. Okay. follicular phase. The second is or proliferative phase. Another name is proliferative phase. What happened here? In follicular phase, which after menstruation lasts for 9 to 12 days, right? It means about from starting of menstruation up to the 13 or 14 days it present. What happened here? Here you can say first uterine event. What happened in the uterus? Uterine event. Thickness increases. Thickness of endometrium increases. And this during the follicular phase, thickness of endometrium about 3 mm increases. So in proliferative phase, uterine event you can say, uterine event, you can thickness in about 3 mm increases. 3 mm thickness increases in the uterus. So this is the uterine event. What happened in the ovarian event and ovarian hormone level? So in follicular phase, then the formation of, you can say, first primary follicle, then secondary follicle, then tertiary follicle, and ultimately Graafian follicle. Graafian follicle. So formation of primary follicle to Graafian follicle takes place during the follicular phase. So this is the development of the follicle in ovarian event. This is the part of ovarian event. And here Graafian follicle rupture on the 14th day, mid of the menstrual cycle, on the 14th day, Graafian follicle rupture this and release ovum. This is known as ovulation. So on the 14th day, mid of this, then the ovulation also takes place. But what is the cause for this? You have to know here. In ovarian event, Graafian follicle develop from primary follicle, and you know in the follicle there is the granulosa cells. Granulosa cells release estrogen. So amount of estrogen increases, and amount of estrogen is high at the mid of the menstrual cycle. This one, this is high, but right, estrogen, and due to the estrogen, LH also increases because follicle stimulating hormone released by anterior pituitary gland, which is responsible for development of the Graafian follicle. So follicle stimulating level of follicle stimulating hormone is also increases during the follicular phase, right? As a result, development of the Graafian follicle takes place. Okay. Due to the development of Graafian follicle, large amount of the granulosa cells develop in it. As a result, amount of estrogen also increases in follicular phase. Okay. As a result of high amount of estrogen, there is more rapid secretion of luteinizing hormone by anterior pituitary gland. As a result, follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone at their highest peak at the mid of menstrual cycle, about the 14th day, at their highest peak. They are at their highest peak. यहाँ पर आप देखेंगे जो luteinizing हार्मोन है ये अपने हाईएस्ट पीक पर होता है. Okay, it present at their highest peak. Both follicle stimulating hormone, LH hormone at their highest peak during the follicular phase. Estrogen at also their highest peak at their follicular phase, but progesterone present in very low amount. Okay, Graafian, due to the high amount of LH, there is the ovulation. In ovulation, Graafian follicle rupture. This is the ovarian event, and they release ovum. A release of ovum at the mid of the cycle is known as ovulation. So this occurs in follicular phase. So in follicular phase, you have to know ovarian event, uterine event, level of ovarian hormone and pituitary hormone, how it will change, कैसे ये चेंज होगा. इसके बाद जो दूसरा यहाँ पे एक इवेंट आता है, दैट इज नोन एज थर्ड वन, ल्यूटियल फेज. Luteal phase. Okay, this is also known as secretory phase. What happen in the luteal phase or secretory phase? Luteal phase or secretory phase lasts for next 14 days. This one. This is the luteal phase. Luteal. What happened in the luteal phase in uterine event and in ovarian event? There are two major events: uterine event and ovarian event. In luteal phase, thickness of uterus gets more. It means this thickness increases 5 to 6 mm thick. Okay, it means in luteal phase endometrium gets more thick. This is about 5 to 6 mm thick. यानी luteal phase में जो endometrium था उसकी thickness बढ़ गई. Okay, it becomes more spongy. It ready to receive the fertilizer. And during this, when thickness increases, right? What happen here? Estrogen. Listen. When Graafian follicle rupture, right? So Graafian follicle change in corpus luteum. This one, corpus luteum. Corpus luteum. This is yellow colored body. Yellow in color. Corpus luteum, ruptured Graafian follicle change in corpus luteum. So, corpus luteum release progesterone. So, in this condition, in ovarian hormone progesterone increases. Okay. Amount of progesterone increases. But amount of estrogen decreases. Amount of estrogen decreases. Why? Estrogen secreted by granulosa cells. So when Graafian follicle rupture, so granulosa cells degraded and change in corpus luteum, right? So corpus luteum release progesterone. That's why progesterone amount increases, but estrogen decreases. So corpus luteum progesterone को रिलीज करेगा तो progesterone amount इस समय बढ़ जाएगा. And main function of progesterone to maintain endometrium, prepare endometrium to receive fertilizer. That's why in uterus thickness of endometrium increases due to the more progesterone. That's why progesterone is also known as pregnancy hormone, right? Then what happen in pituitary? After that, follicle stimulating hormone and LH hormone slowly decreases. Right now, in luteal phase, what happen? If there is no fertilizer, then this corpus luteum degenerated slowly. So this is known as regression of corpus luteum. Regression of corpus luteum, right? Or degeneration of corpus luteum. As a result, दिस इज नोन एज कॉर्पस एब्लिकेंस। जब कॉर्पस ल्यूटियम डिजनरेट होता है तब उसको हम बोलते हैं कॉर्पस एब्लिकेंस, राइट। जब कॉर्पस ल्यूटियम डिजनरेट होगा तो अमाउंट ऑफ प्रोजेस्टेरॉन डिक्रीजेस। देन आफ्टर ल्यूटियल फेज there is the next menstruation start. After luteal phase there is the next menstruation start. This one, next menstruation phase, and during this menstruation phase again there is breakdown of endometrium. Menses again start, right? And estrogen progesterone level decreases here. Follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone again come at their minimum level. It means menstruation phase में estrogen, progesterone, follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone अपने minimum level पे रहते हैं. Okay, so in this way menstrual cycle completed in three phases: menstruation phase, follicular phase, luteal phase. Luteal phase is also known as secretory phase because during this phase corpus luteum release progesterone, secrete progesterone which maintain the endometrium and prepare the endometrium to receive the fertilizer. That's why progesterone is known as pregnancy hormone. Thank you.